Never there at the spot itself, but I've been to another spot. I would love to go and see the spot. That's the place where he was killed. Right. Then I will be happy.
Yes, thank you.
But
ukhulumela igama lokuthi yena lo babelanga ushonele ngaphandle ngilivile nalokwabe ngiphumile ushonele ngaphandle wonke umuntu laba baphela laba babulawa.
Well, I was told that there's a certain man who said that Langa died on the outside. Wonke umuntu wani
ukuthi kusho ukuthini ukuthi lo Langa ushonele ngaphandle ukhona lo washonele endlini naphandle ukuthi umuntu ubulawa ngaphandle na.
But it surprises me when they say he died on the spot outside, because there's no person who died into the house. Yeah. But it's mama kulungile. Thank you. Kulungile. Angithi ukhulumile mama. Thank you.
Yes, Mr. Lange, thank you for that. I can understand that you're very, very moved and upset by the whole thing. I will ask the police. Please keep quiet. This is a very sad moment in Mrs. Lange's life. And please, I ask everyone to respect her grief and her feelings. Mrs. Lange, I will ask the police to arrange for you to be taken to the scene where your husband's body was found. And I will also ask the representatives of Lonmin to investigate the situation in regard to the loss of support that you have suffered. Whether they were able to do anything is a matter I obviously got no power over, but I'm sure that they will do what they can to assist.
May I just say, Mr. Commissioner, that they're in the process of finalizing the document, which hopefully we will end up either on Monday or Tuesday, going through what they are doing and what they have done.
Thank you very much. And Ms. Beloy, can you please ask the police to arrange for Mrs. Lange? She has one of her problems that is preventing her from getting closure is the fact that she hasn't seen the place where her husband was killed.
Indeed,
Would
Sir
you
Chair,
please
we'll do
ask the
that.
police to arrange to take her there? And I suggest that perhaps a social worker or someone could accompany them, because it's obviously a very emotional experience, will be a very emotional experience for her, and she needs all the support that she can get.
We'll do so, Chair. Thank you.
Next, which is the next family in respect of which we're going to have a presentation?
Chair, it's in relation to Mr. Sokanile, and Ms. Motuenya will be doing the presentation.
Thank you.
Chair, on behalf of the Sokanile family, on behalf of the Sokanile family, we've got Mr. Sokanile's daughter, Zianda Sokanile. And Mr. Sokanile was killed on the 13th of August, and he was the man that was found across the river on the 13th of August. The statement was made by Mr. Sokanile's mother. Phumzile Sokanile died at the age of 48.
It says sister. You read the third line, third paragraph of the statement. I'm the Phumzile Sokanile's sister.
I beg your pardon.
My brother was killed in Marikana.
I beg your pardon. It is Mr. Sokanile's
we
sister.
always get it right.
Thank you, Chair.
Is the lady with us, songstress Notekile Nkanyeni?
No,
Oh,
Chair.
it's the daughter.
It is Zianda Sokanile. She has checked the statement and
This
has
is her aunt
adopted it.
who made the statement.
Indeed, Chair.
Yes, I see.
Mr. Sokanile died at the age of 48. He was from Dumazulu location in Melani in the Eastern Cape. My name is...
So I think we should get... Sorry, you carry on with what's on the screen now.
Yes. Okay. My name is Songstress Notugile Nkonyeni. I live in Dumazulu location, Ngeleni. I am Phumzile Sokanile's sister. My brother was killed at Marikana. About Phumzile Sokanile. My brother was a very peaceful man who loved his job. Everybody in my village knew him by his jokes, and he liked helping others. I can assure you he only got involved in the strike action because he wanted his voice to be heard by his employers. He was not scared to speak his mind. He always ended his arguments in peace. He visited every Easter and December holidays. His dependents, his wife, Piliswa Sokanyile. He now has 4 children, Chair. There was one child, Lindikaya, who passed away in August this year. So in actual fact, there is Fezeka.
Now, there are 5 names here, so he must have had 6.
Oh, yes, he had 6.
But the name you mentioned isn't on the screen.
Oh,
So he
yes,
had 6 children. How old was the child who died?
26.
26. I see.
26.
So she was had grown
Yes,
up until
Chair.
he left home.
Yes,
I understand.
who died now in August.
Yes, I understand.
So it's Fezeka, Zianda, Yolanda, Snegiziwe, and
What about
Sibulele.
Sibulele? Yes.
And Sibulele. And his brothers, Luvuyo and Mzubanzi, his sister Notugilo, and his nephew Songezo. He started working for Lonmin in 2001. He lived in Korea. Our cousin Mfaniseni Sokanyile is also a mine worker. He got his job through my brother, who was still in the process of trying to get his brother Mzubanzi a job there. His role in the family. Pumzile played a big role at home since 2001. He built his own home and paid his children's school fees. After his father's death in 2010, the whole family had to rely on him. He was everything to the family. His sister is also a widow, and so she was staying at home. About the strike. He called us and told us we mustn't be worried if his phone is off because he will be on the mountain, and when he comes back, he will switch it on and update us. That was the last time I heard from my brother. As I was watching the strike on TV, I became very worried. When we spoke, I even asked him to come home instead, but he refused. He told me that he also wanted the raise, and he also wanted his voice to be heard by his employer. He was very sad when he told me that they went to see the management. Lonmin would send the police instead. We never heard anything about NUM. He did not like the way their employers were treating them. He said they never listened to their concerns and the work conditions were unbearable. The news of his death. I received the news on the 17th of August 2012 that he had died. The person he called us, Velile, is also from our village. I never thought it would go that far. I thought maybe he might love his job, but lose his job, but not his life. We had been in contact with Velile since 14th of August 2012. We asked him to help us, so Kanyile took the responsibility of viewing the body. I did not have any chance to find out what really happened to my brother. I don't know if we received the post-mortem report. The effect of the death. No one can really know what we are feeling. I cannot begin to describe the pain I feel inside. We lost our brother and mother at the same time. We buried our brother and mother on the same day. The ritual had to be done on 1st of December 2012. 2 buses from Marikana came to the funeral. We, the family, were not in a good condition. I'm the only one that is older, and thus I have to take care of the family. I am 50 years old, but my wish is to get a job so that I can maintain my family, so that there is food on the table at the end of the day. I'm not looking for any luxuries, but simply to be able to put bread and butter on the table. All I want for my family is for them to survive. The Commission of Inquiry. I know about the process that will be followed at the Commission of Inquiry. It will never replace our family members. If the police are found guilty, the government must support my family. I would also like Lonmin to employ my younger brother and my brother's son.
Thank you.
Mr. Kanyile does not wish to
He
say
doesn't
anything.
wish to say. Well, please accept our condolences and sympathy. We can see that you were deeply moved by what's been read on your behalf, and obviously it was a very sad and tragic loss to you all, and we extend our sympathy to you. The representative of Lonmin is sitting in court, and I'm sure he's heard the request you've made, that favourable consideration should be given to employing the 2 family members that you've mentioned. Thank you. I know you can't undertake that will happen, but I understand that there is a practice at Lonmin where possible to employ people who are related to former employees or even present employees, and so perhaps that matter can be looked into if it hasn't been already.
It will be communicated to management.
Yes, thank you very much.
Chair, the next presentation is on behalf of Mr. Mabelani, and it will be done by the attorney for the family of, for the Mabelani family, Mr. Sam Shandunga.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chairperson.
Yes. We have a photograph of Mr. Mabelani on the screen. I take it the text will follow.
The text will follow through. I am an adult female widow.
Right, I'm sorry. Is the lady sitting next to you Ms. Leah Mabelani, or you are Ms. Leah Mabelani? I see. And you are the widow of Mr. Mabelani?
Yes, sir.
Yes. Yes, please proceed. Making her statement on her behalf.
Thank you, Chairperson. I'm an adult female widow of the late.
I think your microphone is on, is it? Yes, it is. I don't know what's wrong with the amplification. Please carry on.
I'm an adult female widow of the late Franz Mahlomula Mabelani, who worked for Lonmin as a security superintendent. I make this submission on my behalf and on behalf of the Mabelani family. The late Franz Mahlomula Mabelani had 3 children, Kate, Retabile, Karabo. But they are unable to come because of the prohibitive cost of travel. The children and family are thus not part of this process. I first would like to thank the Commission for the opportunity to permit us to make this submission. Our submission shall address the life of the deceased, our life with the deceased, our individual and collective feelings of loss as a family, impact financially and morally as a result of the loss of my husband in the family, as well as the questions we would like the Commission to address in its work. Franz was born in the village of Sekhoilani in 1964. He is one of the 4 children and was raised by a single parent. We got married in 1993. He was a hard worker and a pillar of strength to all close and extended family members. Franz was a breadwinner at home.
That means undertook, I take it.
Yes. He undertook to give his siblings, parent and children support in their informal businesses, and thus the whole extended family relied on his support. At my place, he paid for all other household needs, and now I'm in no position to take over these financial obligations. Impact of his death on the family. As a family, we have to but thank Lonmin for some assistance they gave, but we'll address the Lonmin issue later in the statement. The death of Franz means that the support we will receive, or the support that we all received, went with him, and the cycle of poverty that gripped the family and the extended family will rear its head again with no one to mitigate it. Franz was working hard to break this cycle, but his death is a great disruption of his intent. His death in these difficult times renders us very vulnerable. The feeling of the family. Though we accept that death can come to any person, but Franz's death was very cruel, very untimely, and we believe very avoidable. The family is unable to cope with the humiliation of the manner in which he died, and most have sent the photos that
Most have been
sent the photos that were circulating, showing how their father was burned with some stigma as though he was doing something wrong. We feel that Lonmin has taken away Franz and has a responsibility to assist us and replace his deeds to his children and the broader Mabelani family, and or make good our loss. Feeling of the family. We also feel that the thus that act committed must be properly investigated, and that those responsible must be made to see what I believe the Commission must show to the world and South Africa, an indescribable inhuman suffering of slow, uninterrupted burning of a body in a hot day. We cry when we remember, but this is our picture of every day. It goes around with us, and we see questioning on this by others when they look at us. It is us. This picture is us, and more, it is the picture that now identifies us as a family, especially our children, have to deal with this. They go around with this picture at the young age they are. Can it be that when a person is killed with such indignity, the employer cannot take responsibility? Can it be that we have to be beggars for food from NGOs? As though it's not enough, the bodies were given to us incomplete, and what was left was badly burned. How could we live with this? We just have questions and more questions. Our situation is very precarious. We request those we blame for support. What undertaking Lonmin is prepared to make to redress the loss of the family?
These are the questions that
Yes.
that the family asked. Yes. First one you read, what undertaking is Lonmin prepared to make to redress the loss of the family?
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Chairperson. Whether France was responsible to deal with strikers, what training he had to deal with so many people who were clearly angry, whether the employer did not have a duty to warn France about the danger of facing the strikers after they had attacked his colleagues, namely Mrs. Foster and Law. At what stage were the police called for assistance, and what was their response? What time and where did the strikers start marching? What type of assistance shall Lonmin provide to the family? And that is the end
Thank
of
you.
it.
Yes, these questions have been covered in the evidence and in the questioning of the witnesses, and we hope to deal with them, as many of them as we can and as fully as we can in the report. Is there anything that Mrs. Mabulani wishes to say, or is she content with what you said on her behalf?
No, Chairperson. That will be all.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chair.
Again, this was one of the deceased who was a former employee of Lonmin. You made a comment in respect of Mr. Langer. Is there anything you wish to say at this stage, Mr. Azar?
Exactly the same I said previously.
Well, perhaps Mrs. Mabulani must stay here and hear what you're saying. Or perhaps her attorney must stay and listen and tell her. Well, just repeat it so, for her benefit so she'll understand.
The issues raised in her statement relating to Lonmin, and in particular the questions on the last page, will be communicated to my client.
Thank you. Ms. Pillay, who's next?
Chair, the next presentation is on behalf of Mr. Twala, and it will be done by Mr. Nsonkota.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Pillay. Thank you, Chair and members of the Commission. It will be recalled, Chair, on day 27 and day 273 of the Commission, when the first rounds of family presentations were made, I requested that we postpone Mr. Twala's presentation owing to the fact that there were no family members in attendance on the
Yes.
day.
What is the position today? Are there family members in
Subsequently,
attendance?
my attorneys got in touch with the family. However, due to circumstances beyond our control, we were unable to secure their attendance at the Commission this morning. However, I have been requested on behalf of the family to read onto the record a statement.
Thank you. May I say that I hope it will be possible for a video clip to be extracted from the TV coverage of today, dealing with the presentation you're going to make, which could perhaps be made available to the family so they could at least see what you have said on their behalf.
We will endeavor to do so, Chair. The statement is prepared by Mr. Wellington Bongani Twala. It reads as follows. We have prepared enough copies for the commissioners and
Yes,
and
thank you.
parties.
You don't have to give them to us now. You can give them to us at the end of the morning, but I take it will be put on the screen
As the
so
chair
we can
pleases.
follow, and everybody in the chamber, everyone who's watching on the World Wide Web can see it.
As the chair pleases. It reads as follows. In the Marikana Commission of Inquiry, Statement of
I
Wellington.
think you must wait for the. It's not your fault. Can the. I hear this. Thank you.
Thank you. It reads as follows. In the Marikana Commission of Inquiry, statement of Wellington Bongani Twala. I am the adult son of Mr. Isaiah Twala, who was murdered on 14 August 2012 in the immediate vicinity of the area now known as the Gopi, near Lonmin's Marikana operation during the unprotected strike in August 2012. I make this statement on behalf of my father's family. In this statement, I provide the Commission with details about my father and his life and the impact of his death on the family. At the time of his death, my father was 52 years of age and worked at Lonmin as a shift supervisor at 4 Belt Shaft Career Mine. I was first informed of his death on 14 August 2013 by my aunt, Constance Mgobozi.
Sorry to interrupt you. 2012.
2012.
It didn't take a year for the news to reach him.
Thank you, Chair. I was first informed of his death on 14 August 2012 by my aunt Constance Mgobozi and my cousin Siabonga Mgobozi. I personally identified his body on 17 August 2012. My father's death was cruel and unnecessary and has caused great pain and loss to his family. I saw my father often before his death as we resided in close proximity to one another in the Buku section, Vonderkop. I last saw him on 13 August 2012 at about 15 hours at a shop near our places of residence. My father did not participate in the unprotected strike in August 2012, but was prevented from attending work on that day because of the strike action. I do not know the circumstances of his death. The following day, or how he came to be in the immediate vicinity of the Gopi where his body was found. My father was born in the Free State in 1960 and had 9 siblings, 7 sisters, and 2 brothers. My father had 4 children. My 2 sisters, Nompumelelo, 29 years of age, and Jabulile, 16 years, and myself, 30 years, were born to my mother, Emma Twala, who passed away in 2007. My father subsequently married Nonhlanhla Nene, with whom he had another son, Sipesihle, 2 years. Nonhlanhla Nene and Sipesihle reside at my father's home in Hambrook village near Ladysmith in KwaZulu-Natal. Nonhlanhla is unemployed and was entirely dependent on my father for her support and Sipesihle's support and survival. My father returned home to KwaZulu-Natal whenever he took annual leave and every Easter. My sister Jabulile is a school student and lives with my sister Nompumelelo in Ntabazwe near Harrismith. Nompumelelo is married and has 2 children. My father would regularly send money to her to support Jabulile, including paying for Jabulile's school fees. My father worked at Lonmin for over 20 years until his death. He initially worked as a winch driver and was promoted to shift supervisor around 2006, a position he held until his death. He seemed to enjoy his job. Before working at Lonmin, my father worked at a bakery in Ladysmith. My father was a long-standing member of the National Union of Mine Workers and was an elected union safety steward. I was told by a close colleague of his, Mr. Zuzekile Mtungwana, that my father was good to work with and was highly respected by his fellow supervisors. My father had a good reputation for his ability to resolve disagreements amongst the supervisors. Mr. Mtungwana also informed me that my father's work team had elected him as a safety representative because of his leadership skills and experience. In 2012, his work team was appointed by the responsible underground manager, Mr. Rodney Opperman, to assist with the training of recently appointed workers as well as those workers who required additional or refresher training. My father was a very open and friendly person who enjoyed socializing and helping others. He helped to transport fellow workers to and from work with his vehicle, and during the December holidays would transport some of them to and from their homes. He was also a talented and keen photographer and would shoot portrait and social photographs for individuals at weddings and social functions. He had ambitions to expand his photography business and to start a taxi business. My father's funeral was held on the 24th and 25th of August in KwaZulu-Natal. The family had laid him to rest at the cemetery in Hambrook village near Ladysmith on 25th August 2012. My father played a central role in our family. I had a very good relationship with him and I miss him a great deal. His death has caused the family great pain and has left an enormous gap in our lives. His loss is felt dearly by his wife, his children, his grandchildren, and his friends and colleagues. The family hopes that the Commission will find out the precise circumstances of my father's death on 14 August 2012 and establish who was responsible for killing him and the others who lost their lives at Marikana, Wellington, Bongani, Twala. On behalf of the Commission, on behalf of the Twala family, I thank you, Chair, and members of the Commission for the opportunity.
Yes, thank you very much. I take it that the family have been in contact with the Social Welfare Department to investigate the possibility of some grant being made available. If they haven't been, I would suggest that steps be taken to do that. I don't know whether the grant will be made available, but it's something that should be investigated if it hasn't been looked into already.
As the Chair pleases.
Thank you. Yes, Ms. Pillay, which family is next going to be making a presentation?
The next presentation is on behalf of the family of Mr. Tokoti Mangotyo, and it's Mr. Nsebeza who will be doing it.
Yes, Mr. Nsebeza.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Whilst we wait for Vuyiswa Mangotyo, who is the daughter, may I just make two comments. The first one, Mr. Chairman, is an observation, and the second one is an appeal. The first observation is the fact that the Commission is bending over backwards to accommodate the families in this hour of their bereavement, of continued bereavement. I know that we are operating under strictures of time, and yet the Commission, it seems to me, is prepared to go that extra mile to accommodate the people who want to speak.
Yes, thank you. It was the least we could do in the circumstances. I'm sorry we can't do more to enable the families to give full expression to their feelings of loss and the tragedy that's hit them all.
Yes, Mr. Chairman. Thank you very much. I said there is an appeal. The appeal will be that we continue to balance the demands on our time and the need to give the families that latitude to express themselves to the extent that the time allows them to do so. Julius Dokoti Mangotyo, 61 Stake Street, Eastern Cape. The family member is Vuyiswa Mangotyo. I live in Palmfontein, Stake Street in the Eastern Cape province. I'm the daughter to Julius Dokoti Mangotyo. My father was killed at Marikana. My father was very loving. He was a peaceful person who hardly got angry. He loved soccer and doing gardening. When he came home, he made sure that the yard was always clean. The dependents are his wife, Wellington Mangotyo, 5 adult children, all dependent, 3 minor children, Fezile, Sandy, Anele, and all three are attending school. There are 3 grandchildren, and there is a niece. With respect to Lonmin, this is what is said. If I recall correctly, he left home more than 5 years ago to search for a job or for job opportunities on his own initiative. Whilst he was an employee at Lonmin, my father lived in an informal settlement in Marikana. He had built his own shack on someone else's premises. My father was the sole breadwinner in the family, and as such played a very crucial role in providing food, clothes, and all the important needs of the family. He supported his wife, 8 children, 3 grandchildren, and his niece. On the strike, he phoned and told me about the strike. He said it was about wages. A major complaint raised in my conversation with him was the issue of low wages paid by Lonmin. About the news of his death, one Velapimda, a minor worker at Lonmin, phoned my cousin Fumanegile George Mangcoyo and told him that my father had died as he had been shot by the police. Fumanegile informed everyone at home about this tragic news. My father was laid in his final place of rest on 8 September 2012 at Stagsprate. Most of his colleagues from Marikana attended the funeral. The effect of his death has been such that I did not think he would die. I thought the labor dispute would be resolved without fatalities, like any other labor dispute. My father's death remains a painful and a sad moment in our family. We are all devastated and hurting. The pain is unbearable. I expect the Marikana Commission of Inquiry to investigate, uncover the truth, and get to the bottom of why my father was killed. Personally, I think Lonmin should not have sent the police to the mine. In my view, it was this act that was directly responsible for the death of the workers. That's the presentation on behalf of
Thank you.
the family of Mr. I understood.
Does the late Mr. Moai daughter wish to add anything to what you said?
She doesn't
She's
want.
indicated that she does not wish to say anything.
Anyway, thank you for coming and thank you for being present when the statement was read by your family's counsel. And we extend our sympathy and condolences to you also and all the members of your family on the loss that you suffered.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Chair. The next presentation is on behalf of Mr. Babalo Mchazi, and it will be done by Mr. Nsebeza.
Izama Mchas.
Mr. Nsebeza.
Mr. Chairman, the family member is Nozipiwo Mchazi. And she would like to say as follows: I'm an adult female residing at Nchele location, Libode, Eastern Cape Province. I'm the biological mother of Babalo Mchazi, who died in Marikana. My son was unmarried and is survived by 2 children. He was a pillar of strength and a rock in my family. My son is known to his friends and family as a great soccer player He loved soccer. Babalo quit school because we languished in poverty and I could not afford to buy him clothes.
Are we going to be told how old he was? Because he looked really young from the photograph. Do we know what his year, in what year he was born?
I gather, Mr. Chairman, that he was born in 1986. And
on that basis, he would have been
in 2012, he would have been 26.
Yes. Thank you. Sorry for interrupting you, but he did look much younger than some of the others.
Yes, indeed. In fact, if one compares him to Mr. Mangojwa, who was 61, yeah, it just shows the range of the people who got killed on the day.
It does indeed.
Yes. Mr. Mchazi had 2 children, Lisakanya Mchazi, Masikole Mchazi. One dependent was Nozpiwe Mchazi. There were 3 siblings, Zameka Mchazi, Yonela Mchazi, and Boniswa Komani. About Lonmin, he asked for permission to go to look for a job. He left for Marikana around 2006 to look for work and better living conditions for our family. At Marikana, my son first lived in a hostel, but in 2011, he built his own shack. Babalo's late father also worked for a mine in Rustenburg. He supported the family and bought food and other household necessities. He also bought cattle. He had recently bought a stand and had built a house for us. He was planning to buy furniture for the house. In July 2012, we had a housewarming party in which we were celebrating his success in building us a house. My son phoned regularly to ask how we were doing, and he always visited us during Easter, during December holidays, and on family occasions. Before 16th August, my son phoned me and asked to speak to the children. He undertook to attend a family ritual which was scheduled for the 29th of September 2012. I was at home in Libode and did not know much about the strike. His sister, Boniswa Komana, lives in Jabula, Rustenburg, and saw the news about the strike on television. She contacted Babalo and inquired about the strike. He answered by saying, "But you saw on the news what the strike was about." Boniswa insisted on getting a straight answer from him and asked him to come to live with her at Jabula or with his uncle at Bob Mine in Rustenburg. Someone from Teba came to my house and took us to my uncle's home to tell us the shocking news that Babalo had died in the strike. I went to Marikana with my sister and uncle. I saw the body at the mortuary. We observed that Babalo was injured in the head above the ear, and he had stitches in the head. We all wanted to ask how he died, but my uncle could not even ask questions because he was hurting and unable to deal with things at that time. We performed a ritual in terms of our customs whilst at Marikana before taking Babalo's body to the Eastern Cape province. We took the coffin to the Kopi, where we spoke to his spirit in terms of our customs. We uttered the words, "Babalo, you died here. We are taking you home for your burial." at the funeral, some of his colleagues explained to us that people were shot by the police during the strike. In preparation for the burial, we bought a cow, and government brought us 6 sheep. At the time of the consultation with the legal representatives on the 29th September 2012, my daughter, Boniswa Komani, broke down and cried. She's very disturbed emotionally by her brother's death and hurting a lot. She has been seeing doctors. The doctor said she's stressed. My family would like to attend the Commission of Inquiry, including my son who works in the Eastern Cape. I think that has now been achieved, Mr. Chairman. We can only attend the Commission of Inquiry if the government assisted with transport and living expenses. That also has been achieved. I make the observation. I did not receive a telephone call from Babalo's employer. Neither have I contacted his employer. I'm still hurting, and I have no strength to go to the mine. The government must help with the schooling of the children and buy furniture for the house that Babalo had just built. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Is there anything that the family member wishes to add? I beg your pardon. This is Mr. Mchazi's mother. Is there anything she wishes to add? Or is she content to stand by what you have said in the presentation that you made on their behalf?
Ukuba Lonmin yayingenze kakuhle ngebengazange basweleka abantwana.
If Lonmin had done the correcting, Chairperson, these people would not have
lo
died.
wami umntwana
Particularly my child.
yena bendixhomekeke kuye
He's the person I solely dependent on.
nabantwana bakowabo
Also his other
Ababini.
siblings, 2 siblings.
esithi xa ethetha bakwasweleka uyise kwabo kudala ndibathwele nzima.
His father passed away a long time ago. He had
Athi ke yena
carried the
umfana,
family.
akathanda abantu babo bakhule ngendlela akhule ngayo.
He would always say that he doesn't want the other children to grow up in the same manner in which he grew up.
Bebapha imali 500 ngenyanga bobabini
He would
abantwana.
give them money, had 500 rands per month for each.
Bampasile kuteni wabo ngoba sekhosini ngoku.
They have both passed on the 10. They are presently attending a
Ndaba
course.
buhlungu ndiyagula iswekile ndangendwa iswekile.
I was so hurting, as a result of which I
Hane hayi
started
kwehlawa lento.
suffering from sugar diabetes and high
Ndaba
blood pressure.
ngumlwelwe nje.
That is.
Nkosi.
Thank you, Chairperson.
Yes, thank you. We extend our sympathy and condolences to you and your family on the loss that you've suffered.
It's
May
a
I
commission,
inquire from the...
commissioners bavelana nawo ubuhlungu nabantwana
Mr.
ngokunjalo.
Mchazi, would you stay for just a minute?
Oh,
May I
ngahlala
inquire
nje.
from the
Kancinci,
representative of
Mamchazi.
Lonmin what the position has been in respect of the schooling of the children? I understood Lonmin was going to set up a trust to deal with education of the children of those who were killed. Have steps been taken to see to it that the children to whom reference was made in the presentation have been receiving schooling? Is that something you will take instructions on?
The trust, as I understand it, has been set up and has been functioning. The schedule of payments made and to whom it's been made or on whose behalf it's been made will be handed in on Monday.
Thank you.
Uthi ke onke amalungiselelo ayenziwa nguLonmin kuzaphuma isigqibo ngomvulo kokuba kuzokwenziwa ntoni ngaba bantwana abanjengababa.
Yes, thank you. Is that the end of the presentation on behalf of the family?
It isn't, Mr. Chairperson. I don't want to intrude on the family's presentation, but there is a fact in relation to Mr. Mchazi that I think is important to draw to the attention of the commissioners, which is that Mr. Mchazi's body is one of the bodies that was found at scene 1 on the far side of the kraal, more than 40 meters away from the TRT line. He was shot through the head, and according to the post-mortem reports would have been immediately incapacitated, and his body was found more than 40 meters away from the people who shot him.
umhlekazi uShekaliseni uveza lento okokuba kukhona into ekufanele ivele ngomhlekazi
That's a
uMchazi
fact to which the legal representatives of the police will doubtless give very serious and anxious consideration.
uthi ke
I take it
uMchazi
they may be doing that already.
wasweleka indawo engaba ngu40 meters ukusuka apha kwisiganeko sokucala wadujula enhloko indawo engaba umgama engaba ngu40 meters ukusuka apho kwakukho amapolisa la we-TRT uthi umgcini isihlalo kufanele abamele amapolisa bayijongisise lonto kokuba yenzeka ngoluphi uhlobo yintoni le yenzeka apho.
Ms. Pillay, are those the representations on behalf of the family members?
No, there are still a few
How many
presentations
left?
left, Chair. We've got 5 left.
5 left, I see.
The next presentation, Chair, is on behalf of Mr. Patrick Akona Jasi, and Mr. Nsebeza will be doing it.
Yes, Mr. Nsebeza.
Mr. Chairman, relevant to this family member, you will see that the statement refers to somebody called Mavaltuba Jijase. This is not Mavaltuba Jijase. Mavaltuba is a female and the mother of the deceased, but Banele is representing the family today.
Yes, I see. Thank you.
Now they all reside in Ntabankulu in the Eastern Cape province. Now, about Patrick Akona Jijas. Akona conducted the family regularly about 3 times a day. He had manners. He was always happy. He hardly got into trouble. That was the view of the mother. The mother, as I indicated, is Mavaltuba Jijas. The father is Mhliselwa Jijas. Akona did not have any children. He looked after his brother and 2 sisters and his nephew. He left home in order to try and find a job in June 2012. He found employment at Lonmin in July 2012, and he had not yet visited home. He lived in the Vonlerkop informal settlement. He rented a shack there. Akona supported us financially. He put food on the table, catered for all our needs, such as medical care and other household essentials. Akona's elder brother has his own family and he cannot support us. About the strike, Akona phoned us on Saturday, 11th of August 2012, informing me, that is the mother, about the strike, and also told me that it was a strike action for higher wages. He said he was worried about the strike. He had just started working. He said he may come back home if the strike continues. Akona told me that people were being killed during the strike. He also said that employees did not go back to their hostels, rooms or shacks, but were gathering at the copy because people were being killed by the police. I tried phoning him on the 16th of August 2012 at about 8 o'clock, but his phone was switched off. On 20 August 2012, a person from Teba in Dabangulu Eastern Cape, came to my home and informed us, the family, that Akwana had passed away. We were told that he was shot by the police. Alfred Mashia Ndlumbane, Akona's cousin, went to Marikana to view Akona's body in the mortuary. He told us that the cause of death was a gunshot wound in the head, shot at the back of the head up to the forehead. There were cracks in his skull and his clothes had blood stains. He said Akwana was severely injured. I was heartbroken and felt severe pain on hearing that he died. I'm still not well emotionally. We told all Akona's colleagues who attended his funeral that we were grieving his death and did not want to hear what Akona did in the strike or how he died. In addition, Akona was our only breadwinner. We're now left with no support or financial assistance. I don't know what we are going to do to survive. I did not expect that he would be killed by the police. I thought he would either get the pay increase or be dismissed from work. I am of the view that Lonmin could have prevented the massacre if it had accepted the workers' request for a better wage before the massacre. However, Lonmin simply acceded to the workers' demands after mine workers, including my son, were killed. I want the Commission to know that I lost a son during the strike. I want someone to take responsibility for Akona's death. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Is anything going to be added? Or would the family member wish to just associate herself, as it were, with what you said?
He has indicated that he does not wish to say anything, Mr. Chair.
Yes, thank you. Again, we extend our sympathy and condolences to all the members of the family and the loss that they have suffered.
Chair, the next presentation is on behalf of Mr. Nkosiyabo Kalabile. And it will be done by Mrs. Nsibeza. I did say Mr. Nsibeza.
Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, thank you. The family member who is sitting next to me is the grandfather to Nkosiyabo Kalabile, who was killed on the day. The statement had been made by Nonezile Kalabile, who is the mother, but she is not able to be here. But the grandfather to Nkosiyabo is here and is comfortable that we should read the statement made by Nkosiyabo's mother. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Commissioners. I'm not Nonezile Kalabile. Nkosiyabo Kalabile who was killed at Marikana was my son. I live at Elliotdale, Orodale, in the Eastern Cape. Nkosiyabo was a father figure in my family. Not only did he send other children to school, but he would send me money every month to provide for my daily needs and wants. He was a religious man and went to church often. He loved soccer and was a part-time coach of a team called the 11 Strikers. I loved him more than I can ever explain. His dependents were his wife, Lilita Kalabil, whom he had married on the 7th of July 2012. Barely a month before he died. Mother Nonezile Kalabil, sister Pamela Kalabil, sisters, 2 children, Melissa Kalabil, 11 years old, and Silindi Kalabil, 6 years old. With respect to Lonmin, Nkosiyabo left home for Marikana in search of a job in the year 2004. He got a job through Teba in Tata after having paid the requisite joining fee. My son was employed as a winch driver at Lonmin in Marikana, a position he occupied until his death. Although he did not hold a formal qualification, Nkosiyabo had an opportunity to attain basic or secondary education and passed them at 9. He had just returned to work after a 2-week leave. He went on leave on 24 June 2012 to prepare for his wedding, which subsequently took place on the 7th of July 2012. I never thought that my son would die just over a month after getting married. Nkosiyabo was my firstborn child and the sole breadwinner in the family. He supported everyone in the family, including his wife and sister and his sister's children. He bought us food, clothes, and paid for our medical care. And most importantly, he provided school fees or tuition for his 2 sisters' children. I can say that he helped family to keep their heads above the water at all costs. Like many workers, he would come home during Easter and Christmas holidays. Relative to the strike, he phoned us often during the strike. He told me that the strike was about the workers' demand for a better wage in line with the prevailing economic climate. Further, that the strike was about enforcing their rights as workers, and that the reason why they had gathered at the copy was to get a better wage. He told me that workers were prepared and had invited Lonmin to engage in an endeavor to come up with the solution to the strike. However, Lonmin failed to engage with the workers or listen to their grievance. Instead, Lonmin sent the police. He complained of the working conditions at the mine, in that he and other workers were paid too little, taking into consideration the dangerous conditions and the demanding nature of the job. He said that the National Union of Mine Workers did not duly advance and protect the interests of workers and did not have their interests at heart, in that they sided with the employer. To the best of my personal knowledge, the strike commenced on the 9th of August 2012. My son told me that he felt threatened by the armed police's presence in the strike. He said that all the workers wanted was a wage increase and not fights. I thought the strike and the wage dispute between the employees and the employer would be resolved. I never thought the police would kill my son. And it is the first time I hear of people being killed like this over a wage dispute. If Lonmin had spoken and engaged with the employees, no one would have been killed on 16 August 2012. Lonmin should have agreed to increase the wages instead of sending the police to kill some workers before effecting the wage increase. If Lonmin had increased the wages, no one would have been killed on 16 August 2012. During the period 11 to 15 August 2012, he complained that things at the mine were bad, tense, and difficult. I heard about my son's death on the 18th of August 2012. A person from Teba in Tata came to my house and asked for an elder man in the family. I instructed one of the children to take the man to my uncle, Mr. Twala, who does not live far from my house. The man came back with Uncle Kolozan. He told us that Nkosiabo had died in the Marikana tragedy. At Lonmin, a white manager told us our family members were killed by police officials. He said some people and the police were killed, so the police ended up shooting the workers on 16 August 2012. The manager seems afraid to say more as people were asking a lot of questions about the tragedy. In particular, people were asking as to why the workers were killed instead of Lonmin talking to them. He was just evasive and did not give answers. At the mortuary, when we went for body viewing, I noticed that Nkosiabo had serious head injuries. We could not even inspect the whole body. It was painful and emotional. The post-mortem revealed my son died of a gunshot wound to the chest. I'm told that he died at the small copy. His corpse was removed from the copy and taken to the mortuary and did not even go to the hospital. Nkosiabo's death remains a painful experience that will take many years to erase in my memory. It was painful reality, and I was very scared. The news of his untimely death came to me as a shock. I thought to myself, Nkosiabo was just here at home not long ago and had just got married. Upon receiving the message about his death, I immediately contacted his wife, sister, and other family members. His sister, Pamela Kalebile, has up until this day not come to terms with the passing of a brother. I had the time and opportunity to meet with his fellow employees who saw him before his death. They told me that he was with them on the copy, and when the police started shooting at them, they dispersed. No one showed me where his body was found. All I know is that his body was taken from the small copy to Pukeng, Garangua, and then Dow's funerals in Marikana. His funeral was held on 1 September 2012. I still can't believe that my son is dead. The pain is unbearable. It feels like it is a big lie. I will be told that he didn't die. His death brought not only unbearable pain, but life in itself has become unbearable. The family benefited from Nkosiabo's employment at the time, at the mine. He supported us and sent us money on a monthly basis. I don't know how we're going to survive without him. The family is in deep trouble as he has left behind unfulfilled obligations or debts, and sadly, there is no money in his bank account to settle these outstanding debts. He had incurred debts in preparation for his wedding. I expect the Commission of Inquiry to investigate how and why my son was killed. I want the Commission of Inquiry to remember the families of the deceased mine workers and hear about the role played by the deceased mine workers in supporting their families. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners.
Does the grandfather wish to say anything? I understood you to indicate that he associates himself with what you said. Is that correct?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I thought Mr. Alabile wanted to.
Hi, Ngos.
Thank you, Chairperson.
Ndibuhlungu ngalento yenzekayo.
I'm hurt by what happened,
Yenziwa kuLonmin.
which was caused by Lonmin,
Ukuze kusweleke lo mntwana.
that resulted in the death of this child.
Benegalelo kakhulu phaya kokwabo.
He was making lots of contributions at his home.
uLonmin ke wenza into bendingayilindelanga.
What Lonmin did was something that I least expected.
Ngoba umuntu apha sebenza khona kukwabo apho.
Because we regard the place of one's employment as being his home.
Ufika ekhaya lakhe lokwenene ngepension awuphelelwa ngamandla kodwa ubomi bakhe bonke abuchithele kule ndawo asebenza kuyo.
He only goes to his real home when he has reached pensionable age after having spent his whole life at the place of employment.
Namhlanje ke uLonmin abantwana bethu uphila ngabo waphila ugqiba baphila ngabo bawufika entabeni befuna imali ngamandla wabo wabakhanyela wababulawela entabeni njengentaka.
Lonmin lives at for about what our children are doing, and they went to the mountain and Lonmin went and killed them there like birds.
Uba bingekho le commission
If there wasn't this commission,
ngeza sizule kulamahlathi sibakhangela bebolile.
we would be looking around in those trees, those forests, finding their rotten bodies there,
Singazi noba babulewe yintoni noba bafelephi.
not knowing what had killed them and where they had died.
Kodwa le commission sayithemba yasinceda yaphanda.
We have trust in this commission. It helped us, did the necessary investigations.
uLonmin ubaleka ngokusekuphandwa uyabaleka ngokusebephandwa abantwana bethu bebhubhile.
Lonmin is actually making an endeavor to run away from the investigation after the death of our children.
Kodwa ke uqaleni wayisithembisile ufika kwakhe kuthi Moinoi okokuba abantwana bethu basweleke bazawuthathwa njengabantwana abalimelele emgodini ngoba kaloku le ndlela basweleke ngayo ayinhlanga noba besweleka bedutyulwa ngamapolisa bazawuthathwa njengabantwana baswelekele emgodini kodwa ngoku ayenzeki lo.
But originally, when we were at Moai, promises were made to us by Lonmin that the death of our children would be regarded in the same light as people who had died underground, even though they were killed by the police. Commission commences.
The Commission resumes. Yes, Ms. Pillay?
Thank you, Chair. The next presentation is in relation to Mr. Michael Ngwei and will be done by Mr. Nsebeza.
Yes, Ms. Nsebeza?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners. Mrs. Nosihle Ngwei is the family member sitting next to us, and she's the one who made the statement. If I may proceed, Mr. Chairman. I'm Nosihle Ngwei. I live in Mvezo village in Tata, Eastern Cape. I was married to Michael Ngwei, who was killed at Marikana. Next page, please. Michael was a peaceful man. He liked soccer and church, as well as Maskandi music. His favorite Maskandi musician was Thokozani Lang. My husband was very close to me, to our sons, and to his family. He loved us very much. Came home every 2 months. He phoned me every morning before we went to work, and in the evenings when he came home. He even sent callback messages when he did not have airtime. He was planning to build a house for his children. I'm so sad that he did not get to realize this dream. His dependents are me, his wife, his 2 sons, Wanda, aged 4 years, Minentle Olotando, who's 1 year old. They're also his sister's children, Anita, 17, Tabiseng, 5, Ovayo, 3, and Sang, who's 6 years old. Michael left Mvezo for Marikana in 2009 to look for a job so that he could improve his life and personal circumstances. In Marikana, my husband lived in Kaneng, the informal settlement. He had erected his own shack on someone's premises to whom he paid rent. My husband was the only person who was employed in our family. He thus played a very big role in our family. He was responsible for everything in the household, from groceries, school fees, medical care, and all other household needs. This included the needs of his sister's children. Between the 9th and the 16th of August 2012, my husband participated in the strike. During this period, he communicated with me and informed me that he was participating in the strike. He would phone every time he got the chance to do so, especially in the evening. His phone would be switched off during the day. He informed me that he did not feel good about the strike, but wanted to stand up for and enforce his rights as an employee. He informed me that he could not leave the strike and leave others behind. He said that the strike was for a good cause. It was about the workers' rights. He said he worked very hard and earned very little. On Tuesday, the 21st of August 2012, someone from the Teba branch in Tata phoned my brother-in-law, Mkolisi Machona, and said that the Teba branch in Rustenburg had asked him to inform my family about the death of my husband. I felt traumatized. I never thought that my husband had died in the strike. I kept on believing that he was arrested and would be released soon. I felt severe pain and heartache and did not want to believe that he had died. I could not believe that Michael was dead. At Pokeng police station, Tandegile and his wife gave the police my husband's name. The policeman said that when he shouted Michael's name, someone answered or responded. The police said since he answered when his name was called, Michael was alive and detained at Pokeng police station. When Tandegile and Nokolo requested to be allowed to see him and explained that the family had just been told that Michael had died, the police told Nokolo that they could only see him on Thursday, the 23rd of August, 2012 at 1 p.m. Tandegile reiterated that he was told that his brother had died and wanted to see him, but the police insisted that they should come back on the Thursday. Tandegile then phoned my family in Mvezo and said that Michael was not dead but had been arrested. He then phoned Teba in Mthatha, asking why they had said that Michael had passed away when the police were saying that he was alive and in the police station. This was a great Teba branch in Mthatha said Tandegile must go to the Teba branch in Rustenburg, and there they would give him all the information that he needed about Michael. Tandegile proceeded to the Teba Bob branch, where they confirmed that Michael had indeed died and that his body had not been seen, still absent on the list, and that Tandegile would be able to see his body on Thursday, 23rd of August 2012. And also that transport to the mortuary would be provided for the memorial service, which was then yet to be held in Marikana. Social workers from Mthatha came to see me and provided counseling. Some few hours before, I received confirmation from Tandegile that Michael had died. I informed social workers that Michael was not dead. This was despite the fact that the social workers had been told that Michael had died in the strike and had received release, confirming the people who had died, which included my husband. The social workers had come to provide me with counseling. They were shocked when I told them that my husband was not dead. Social workers asked me how I would feel if I heard that my husband was dead. They told me that in the event that I had been told that my husband died, I must accept it because death does happen. They talked to me as if my husband was dead, and as if they were preparing me to accept the death of my husband. I started to suspect that the social workers knew something I was not aware of. Tandegile phoned Uncle Machona and Uncle Didegile Tandiso, and they in turn told me that Michael had died. On the 23rd August 2012, Tandegile attended the memorial service where, after he went to view the bodies, he found Michael's body. Tandegile informed us that he noticed that Michael had been shot in the abdomen. The post-mortem, which was shown to Tandegile, stated that the cause of death was a gunshot in the abdomen. The impression that Tandegile got from the viewing of the body was that he may not have died on the 16th August. The gunshot wound still looked fresh and blood was still coming out of his ears. I felt pain when I discovered that Michael had died. This was on Thursday, the 23rd of August. I truly believed that he had survived. This was very traumatic. I had been told that my husband had died, was alive, and had died. I felt a severe pain and never had joy in my heart. I truly believed that he had survived. No one had confirmed to me that he was dead until Tandegile had done the body viewing. Government must do something in memory of my husband for my children to see when they are old. Does not want my children and me to suffer. Tombstone for Michael's grave. No one has told us who killed Michael. From what we know, thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Mbeza. Does the widow wish to say anything? Is she happy to associate herself with what you've said and what you read out on her behalf?
She wishes to say something.
I thank you, Chairperson.
Ndifuna ugqithiselwa umyalezo phaa kwaLonmin.
I want to pass a Lonmin I want to pass a message through to Lonmin.
Ndifuna ugqithiselwa phaa kanye kuBen Magara.
Particularly to Ben Magara.
Owafikayo ngulunya kupheleyo elsithembisa uba inhlupho sikambona
We
ngoku.
last saw him then, Chairperson. He never came back to come and tell us what the position is with pertaining to our family lives.
And inhliziyo yami ibuhlungu uLonmin akanakanga.
I am hurt about a Lonmin.
uLonmin uyandifundisela umntana oyi-1.
Lonmin is contributing to the education of my one child,
Kodwa uLonmin akayazi uba abantwana bami batya ntoni.
but does not know what my children wears when they go to school. I'm sorry, what my children have for meals, what they eat.
Usukela ngo-2012 akho kwanye inxaxheba uLonmin wakwayenza akayojonga ekhayeni uba abantwana bakaMichael baphila kanjani.
From 2012, Lonmin has not been there to see how Michael's children live.
And uMichael wayengasebenzeli umntana oyi-1 nomntana omncinci akakho nenye into uLonmin amjonge ngayo uba unxiba ntoni utya ntoni.
Michael was not only working for the one child. I have a younger child, and Lonmin has never cared to think about the child, what the child eats, what the child wears.
Umbuzo endizibuza wona ke uLonmin kutheni engazukwazi undikhathalela kodwa uMichael wayesebenzela
The
yena.
question I'm asking myself is, why does Lonmin not care whilst Michael was working for Lonmin?
Wathembisa uLonmin uqala usuleka kwamadoda wethu wathi uzosijonga kodwa zange asenzele kwanto
Promise
siyahlupheka.
was made by Lonmin when our husbands died, and they have not done anything for us since then. We are struggling.
And uLonmin uthi zaseyazi uba siyatya afike ngoDisemba kodwa apha phakathi enyakeni akasazi noba sitya ntoni abantwana baphila kanjani.
It's only during December that Lonmin cares what we eat, but for the whole year, nothing is done for us and our children. They don't care what they eat.
Abantwana bethu badinga even impahla le yonxiba apha emzimbeni.
Our children also need clothes to put on over their bodies.
Kodwa into endivisa ibuhlungu mna yintoba umyeni wam ndiyamazi uba wabulawa ngamapolisa.
What hurts me most, sir, is that I know my husband was killed by the police.
Amapolisa wona arhola every month.
The police are getting paid every month.
Thina mna ndihleli nje phaa ekhaya.
I am seated at home.
And yenye into endivisa ubuhlungu intoba ukubulawa komyeni wam akho nomnye umntu owabanjwayo.
And what also hurts me, Chairperson, is that nobody has been held responsible for the death of my husband.
Okungathi amapolisa enza.
Nobody has been arrested for the death of my husband.
Okungathi amapolisa enza into yokwenyani ngobulala abantu.
As though the police had done the correct thing by killing people.
Enethemba xa kuphela iCommission uba iyakujongwa yonke le nto yala mapolisa abulala abantu ngendlela
I
engamasiko.
hope that this commission will look into the way in which this police killed these people. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I can assure you we have been looking into the circumstances in which your husband and all the others were killed. We've heard a lot of evidence on the matter. We're still going to hear argument on the matter. And you can accept that we're doing our best to get the information that you require. I'm sorry that your hopes were raised by inaccurate reports that your husband was still alive when he died. And my colleagues and I fully understand that that must have immeasurably increased your grief. And made what was already a traumatic experience for you even more so. Please accept our condolences for the loss that you've suffered. The representatives of Lonmin are present in the chamber today, and I'm sure they will convey to Mr. Magara what you've said.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, Ms. Pillay?
Thank you, Chair. The penultimate presentation is in respect of Mr. Tilang Moai and will be done by Mr. Nsibeza.
Yes, Mr. Nsibeza.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners. The family member is Sotho speaking, and she is the wife.
The widow of the deceased, Mr. Moai.
Yeah, the widow.
Thank you.
The widow there.
So we now have the Sotho interpreter in place as well.
Yes, yes.
Yes, Mr. Nsibeza.
My name is Matumelo Moai. I'm the wife of Tilang Moai, who was killed at Marikana. I live in Litabaning, Maseru, Lesotho. Tilang was a loving man. He wanted to provide everything for us. He used to call every day to speak to each of us and find out how we are doing. Since we are renting the place where we are currently living, he had been building us a home to call our own. The house is not yet complete. He wanted to buy me a car so that I could transport school children to make extra money whilst I am at home. Now I do not know how I will fulfill all these plans without him. I'm his wife. We have 3 dependents. I believe that I must read and pause to allow for the translation into Sotho.
So I see is there no simultaneous translation?
I was not aware that I needed to translate.
Yes.
I will.
Well, anyway, from now on you will translate.
I will.
After each sentence or two that Mr. Beza has read.
The dependents are the wife, Matumelo Moai, and 3 children, Relebohile Moai, Pabalo, and Mamlef Moai.
Ho tswa he wena umme mosadi wa hae o le Matumelo Moai, bana ba bararo ke Relebohile Moai o na le jara tse 13, ebe Paballo Moai wa jara tse 80, Mamulif Moai, Wajaratepet.
With respect to Lonmin, Tilang had been working for Lonmin since 2003.
Huya ka Lonmin, usebeditse mane ho tloela 2003.
My husband was the only person working in the family.
Ineli ena fela a sebetsang elapeng.
He provided us with everything.
Una re etsetsa tsohle.
He paid for the children's school fees and maintained our family.
Una patela school fees sa bana ebile a re hlokomela.
He also looked after his cousin, who was orphaned. He would pay for his school fees and help him with whatever he needed.
One ana le motjhana wa hae o ne le hore he ine le ngwana batswadi ba ileng ba hlokafala le yana ha jwale ona ba thusa ka ona tsela eo.
Insofar as the strike is concerned, he first told me about it on the 14th of August 2012.
Umpuleletse ka strike ka di 14th of August 2012.
He said they were meeting at a copy and they were striking so that their wages can be increased to 12,500 rand.
O ile a re he ba kopana mane Thabeng hansa ba di striking hore he moputso wa bona o nyoloswe o fihlela 12,500.
He didn't say much about what was happening there, as he didn't want me to worry about him.
Una sa tshotse ngata sene se etsa mane hobane ana sa batle hore ke kgathatse.
The last time I spoke to him was on the 16th of August.
Ke qeteletse ho bua le yena ka di 16th of August 2012.
He had called me to tell me that he was going to the copy again, as they still had not resolved their issues.
O ile a nletsetsa mohala a tsebisa hore he ba khutlela Thabeng hape hobane e ba so rarabolle bothata ba ditjhelete.
I couldn't believe what was happening. I immediately tried to call him, but his phone was off. I was desperately worried. On 18 August 2012, the representative from Teba, Mr. Koloi, came to confirm my fears.
Ka di 18th August 2012, moemedi ya tlhamane Teba ntate Koloi o ile a tla he a tlo mpolella sene ke se tsohetse kapa sene ke se tshaba.
Informed me that my husband had been shot and killed by the police on the 16th of August.
O ile a ntsibisa he hore monna ka o ile a thunywa a bolawa ke maponisa ka di 16th August 2012.
They did not explain to me exactly where he had died.
Haka a ntlhalosetsa hore o hlokafetse kae.
They only informed me that I had to come to South Africa to choose a coffin and to identify his body.
Ke ile ka tsebisa fela hore he ke tshwanetse ke tle South Africa ke tlo kgona hore ke kgethe lekesi le hore he ke tlo kgona ho supa setopo seno.
I came to South Africa with his uncle, who also works for one of the mines in Rustenburg, to choose the coffin and identify the body.
Ke ile ka tla South Africa le maloma hae e ile yena sebetsang engwe ya di mine teng mane Rustenburg re ra kgetha lekesi ra pita he ra ilo bona le sona setopo.
But when it came to time for us to go and look at his body, I was afraid and I refused to go in.
Are itse ha ile naka hore he ke tsamaye ke lo sheba setopo ke ile ka tshaba ka ske ka ilo kena ho ilo se sheba.
His uncle later told me that when he saw him, his skin was very dark and he was unrecognizable.
Maloma a ile a mpolela hore he itse ha mo bona o tjho hore he o na ntshofetse ile hore he a sa kgonne hore a mo tsebe o tjho hore ka mantsama.
His funeral was on the 1st of September 2012.
O patilwe ka di 1st of September 2012.
His colleagues were there.
Basebetsi mmoho ne ba le teng.
They told me that when they were on the mountain, a police officer told them to go back to work, but they told him that they wanted to speak to their employer and not the police.
Ba ile ba ntsibisa he basebetsi mmoho hore he liponisa le la tsisa hore he ba khutlele mosebetsing impa bona ba ile ba tsisa maponisa hore che ba batla ho bua le magoa e seng maponisa.
They also said that on the 16th of August 2012, there were many police officers.
ba ile ba re he ka di 16 tsa August no na le maponesa a mangata.
The children still haven't recovered from the shock.
Bana le jwale ba sampane ba so be hantle maikutlong.
After hearing of his death, they were inconsolable.
Ka mora ho utlwa ka lefu o tshore ka mantswe a mang he o fitlela jwale ba sampane ba utlwile bohloko.
They talk about the days that he was meant to come home on leave and how they were looking forward to spending time with him.
Ba bua ka matsatsi bona ba shebile hore o tla tla hae ha le leafing le hore he ba tla khona hore ba dule le ntata bona ba be le nako le yena. Jwale he o sa ile.
Now he is gone. Now he is gone.
Jwale o ba siile.
They also talk about the gifts their father had promised them.
Ba buile hape le se ntata bona na ba tshepisitse hore o tla ba fa tsona.
Relebohile was expecting a computer from her father as she wanted to learn how to use a computer.
Relebohile o na shebeletse hore ntata o tla mo rekela computer hobane he o na a ikemiseditse hore he a ithute ka yona.
I want to know how my husband was killed.
Ke batla ho tseba hore monna ka o bolailwe jwang.
The mine has undertaken to educate my children. However, there are other things that their father used to do for them.
Mine tse e tla ba ruta sekolo bana ba ka empa he ba tshwantse ba tsebe hore he ona le ditlhoko tse ding tse ntata bona na ba etsetsa tsona.
I want to know how my family will be assisted as my husband is gone and I have no way of supporting my family.
Ke batla ho tseba hore ke tla thuswa jwang hobane monna ka o tlhokafetse le hore he ke tla thuswa jwang hore ke supporte lelapa la ka.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners.
Thank you. Does late Mr. Mahai's widow wish to add anything? Was she happy to associate herself with what you
Yes,
said?
she does, Chair.
Ke a leboha.
Thank you, Chair.
Lonmin hoja ile ya lokisa ditaba tsa bona le basebetsi lefu le ke le sa hlaha.
If Lonmin had resolved their issues with the workers, the tragedy could have been avoided.
Lonmin ile ya etsa balekane ba rona metswalle ya bona e ba sebeletsa.
Lonmin made our husbands their friends and workers.
Mme qetellong ha ba kopa ho ekeletsa meputso ka mefuta ya phatla tsa bona.
But in the end, when they asked for an increase in their wages, which they toiled for,
ya ba bitsa dinokana
they are now labeled thugs
go ba bolawe.
and they were killed.
Empa ke re Sesotho se re motho o bolawa ke motswalle wa hae. Lonmin e boletse
In Sotho, they say a person is normally killed by a person who knows a friend. So Lonmin was a friend to my husband, and Lonmin killed him.
Mme eo a ileng a pakahatsa.
Mme ya itse
Mme a ileng a pakahatsa mosebetsi o motle ha madi a bana ba batho a tsholoha.
mme o ileng a paka. A reng?
A pakahatsa mosebetsi o motle.
Oh, the lady who came and praised the police for a job well done when blood flowed.
Ga mo leboha ka ha ile mme a
We
tseba
thank
bohloko
her.
ba hore na ngwana ke eng.
As she is a woman who knows the pain of bearing a child.
Ke re mme pele ya pele. Mme pele ya pele.
I say to her forward,
Modimo a o ekeletse bophelo o tswele pele ka mesebetsi e metle.
may God bless you and may you continue with your good deeds.
Ke re bomme ba o re hlahetsweng ke mathata le
To
bona.
the widows, I say,
Bomme re tie tumelong.
let us be strong in our faith.
Re se kgathale matla re se nyahame.
We should not lose hope.
Re rapele.
We should pray.
Re tle re tsebe ho hodisa bana bao ba sengisetse dikgutsana ba seng ba sena bontata bona.
To be able to bring up our children who have now turned orphans,
Hobane ba bang ba bana bao ba hola ba sa tsebe bontata bona.
Because most of the children will grow up without knowing their fathers.
Ka lebaka la hore bontate ba bona ba ba siile ba sa le banyane haholo.
Because their fathers left them when they were still very young.
Ka hona ke re ke a leboha, mme o tshwara thipa ka bohaleng.
I then say thank you. I am a woman and I would hold it there. Uqedi? That is all. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. My colleagues and I extend our commiserations and condolences to you also on the loss that you suffered. You and your
Ho
family.
tshwa le bona ba re o elle mme ba lla le wena ho tatlheo e ileng ya ho hlahela.
Ms. Pillay?
Ra leboha mme.
Thank you, Chair. The final presentation is in respect of Mr. Andres Nteznieho, and it's going to be made by Mr. Msebeza.
Yes, Mr. Msebeza.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners. This is not a family member. The family member is the widow, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, thank you.
Her name is Leboha.
I'm sorry, Mr. Msebeza.
I'm
Is the
just
situation, the widow here, the statement that you're reading is by the sister of the deceased. Is that correct?
Yes, I got my instructions wrong. We will need a translation for yes, in Sotho.
Yes, the late Mr. Nteznieho was a Mosotho. So his
Yes, he was Sotho, South Sotho.
so he was. The language will be Sesotho.
South Sotho, yes, Chair.
The statement, I believe, was made.
Sorry, I said he was a Mosotho. I know that means. I didn't mean by that he necessarily lived in Lesotho, but he was a Sesotho speaker.
Yes, South Sotho speaking.
And the ethnic group, if one can use that old-fashioned word, to which he belonged was the Basotho.
Basotho, yes, Chair.
The statement that we have, Mr. Chairman, was made by the sister to Mr.
Ho tswa statement se entswe ke ausi wa ntate Ntshenyeho.
My name is Lebohang Tsenyeo.
Lebitso la ka ke Lebohang Ntshenyeho.
I live in Sasolburg.
Ke dula Sasolburg.
Talpula Andres was my brother.
Motlalipula Andres ne ile obuti wa ka.
He was killed at
O
Marikana.
bolailwe Marikana.
My brother loved his family. He loved his wife and children very much.
Ngwaneso o na rata family ya hae, o na rata mosadi wa hae le bana hae ho fetisa.
He would visit home every month for 3 days.
O na tla tjaka hae kgwedi le kgwedi matsatsi a mararo.
He used to call his wife every day in the morning before he went to work and in the evenings when he came back from work.
O na tlwaetse ho letsetsa mosadi wa hae hoseng pele a o ra ye mosebetsing, e le ha mantsibuya ha sa kgutla mosebetsing a mo letsetse mohala.
He also spoke to his son Tabang often to encourage him to study and not to work for the mine like he did.
O na eletsa mora hae Thabang hore he a dule a ntse a kene sekolo a ska ilo sebetsa mining ska yena.
His dependents were his wife, Matabang Tsenyeo,
Mosadi wa hae ke mme Mathabang Ntshenyeho.
5 children.
O na le bana ba bahlano.
Tabang Tsenyeo, 21 years old.
Thabang Ntshenyeho 21.
Ntabiseng Tsenyeo, 19.
Ntabiseng Ntshenyeho 19.
Mamketi Tsenyeo, 18 years.
Mamuketi Ntshenyeho 18.
Mweketsi, 10 years old.
Moeketsi Ntshenyeho wa dilemo tse 10.
Refilwe, 7 years old.
Le Refilwe ya dijara tse.
There is a mother, Agnes Mabeke,
Mme wa hae ne le Agnes Mabeke Ntshenyeho.
and the sister.
Ausi wa hae ke ena Lebohang Ntshenyeho.
My brother had been working for Lonmin for about a year.
O sebedisa Lonmin jara.
He wanted to leave the mine and buy cars to use them to transport goods and generate an income so that he could save up enough money to build a home for his
Una
family.
batlile ho tlohela di-mine a reke dikoloi tse leng hore he o tla tsamaisa thipa a kgone hore a etse tjhelete e leng hore he o tla e boloka hore a kgone ho aga ntlo a agela family ya hae.
He told us often that he was tired of working at the mine because the salary was too little to support his children properly.
Una hlola ka mehla a bua hore una kgathetse ku sebetsa mining a sebetsa tjhelete e nyane hobane una sa kgone hore he a supporte bana ba hae ka tsela e lokileng.
He was about to leave Lonmin to start this business and realize his dream when he was killed.
Ine ilu hore una ese a tlotlohela sebetsa mane Lonmin ho tshore ka mantswe a mang a kgone hore sene a batla ho sietsa sietse pele ha hore he a bolawa.
My brother was our sole breadwinner.
Ine le yena yane e le ntate yana hlokomela lelapa.
His wife, Matabang, has not been well for a while.
Mosadi wa hae mme Mathabang ha phela nakonyana a sa phela.
She has not been working.
Ha ntse a sa sebetse.
And after my brother was killed, her condition is worsened.
Ka mora hore he obuti wa ka a bolawe o tshore he o ile a qala jwale sa kula haholo mme Mathabang.
My brother had been responsible for everything.
Ngwanesu ine le yena yana a hlokomela tsohle.
Bought the groceries, paid for the school fees for the children,
Una reka grocery a patala school fees sa bana.
clothes and anything else that was needed in the house.
Diaparo le sohle se ne re se hloka ka ntlong.
About the strike, Metalipula would call when he was about to go to the copy and when he returned.
Ho thwa he na ka
During the
strike
strike.
Motlalipule una a letsa mohala pele ha hore a ye thabeng le a khutla thabeng.
He explained that the reason they were on strike was because they worked very hard on the ground but earned little money.
O ira lebaka le ntseng hore ba strike ke hore he na ba sebetsa ka thata mane tlasa mpa ya lefatshe empa he ba fumana tjhelete e nyane.
He was not happy about the strike,
Una sa thabiswa ke strike se.
but he thought that was the only way they would get results.
Empa o ile a bona hore ke yona fela tsela e leng hore he ba ka fumana karabo.
We were very concerned about his safety,
Ne
for
re-
his safety because of what we would see on the news.
Ne re kgathatsehile haholo ka tshireletso ya hae ka se ne re se bona ditabeng.
We asked him to come home, but he would always assure us that he was fine and that he would come home when the strike is over.
Re ile ra mo kopa hore a kgutle hae empa o ne a re tshepisa ka nako yohle hore he ka mora strike o tla kgona hore a kgutle hae.
After we saw the events on the 16th of August 2012 on television, we tried to call him,
Ka mora
but he
re
did not
bone
answer his phone.
ka mora re bone he se etsahetseng ka di 16th of August ho television re lekile ho mo letsetsa empa ha ka araba mohala.
On the 17th of August, we asked his neighbors to look for him, but they could not find
Ka
him.
di 17th of August re ile ra kopa he ba bo magelwane hore ba mo shebe ba be le hore he ba ra ba mothole.
My other brother, Teboho, then went to Marikana to go look for Matelpula. However, his search was in vain.
Obuti e mong wa ka Teboho o ile a ya Marikana o ile o batlana le Motlalipule empa he ha ka a mothole.
We only officially found out about Matelpula's death on the 18th of August from the representatives from Deba.
Re qadile ho utlwa ka lefu la Motlalipule ka di 18th of August ho tla ho moemedi wa Koteba.
When the Teba representatives came to the house to report his death, they told us that our brother had died according to the way it was shown on the
Ila re
news.
wa Teba ha tla a tlo re tsebisa o ila re bolella he hore obuti wa rona o shwele ka tsela e re boneng ho TV le di news.
We were also told by Tebo, who went to wash his body, that he had a lot of wounds on his body.
Teboho e leng hore ke ena a ileng a ilo tlhapisa setopo o ila re bolella he hore na le maqeba a mangata mo mmeleng.
However, we were not given a postmortem report, nor were we told what the cause of death was.
Empa he hara ka ra fumana report e tswang dingakeng e hlalosang hore he lefu la hae le bakilwe ke eng.
I also noticed many holes on the clothes he was wearing when he died.
Ke ile ka bona hape he le diaparo tsena di apere na kwa tlhokafala di na le masoba a mangata.
We are not sure what is going to happen to his children.
Ha re tsebe hore ho tla etsahalang ka bana ba hae.
Mr. Maroping said the mine would pay for the children's school fees as long as they passed. However, if they failed, they would not.
Ntate Maruping o ile a re he mine e tla patala school fees sa bana ha ile hore ba pasa ba tswela pele empa he ha ngwana a ka hloleha a faila ba ka seke ba tswela pele ka ho patala.
Their father would not have placed conditions on the evacuation of his children, so we do not know what we will do in this regard.
Empa he ntate wa bona yena o ne a sa tjho hore ngwana o tla khona ra mo etsetsa ha pasitse ka pasa ha ke tsebe hore jwale re tlo etsa jwang ka sena.
His deepest desire was for his children to go to university.
A re takatso ya hae ya e tibile ine le hore bana ba hae ba university.
Now his oldest son, Tamang, will have to put his studies on hold to find a job in order to provide for his family.
Jwale he ngwana hae mora hae e moholo e leng Thabang o tshwanetse he a beile dithuto ka thoko a tsamaya ba tle mosebetsi hore a kgone ho hlokomela lelapa.
We never expected the strike to result in his death.
Ne re sa shebela hore strike se tla qetella se bakile lefu.
We have always heard of people going on strikes, but we never thought people would get killed like this.
A re tlhola re utlwa hore batho ba ile di striking empa he a re ne re sa nahana hore batho ba tla bolawa ka tsela e.
We are devastated by his death. He was holding us all together.
Lefu la hae le re utlwisitse bohloko haholo ke yena yana a tshwere lelapa.
From the commission, we want to know
Commission
how Motlalipola died,
re batla ho tseba hore Motlalepule o tlhokafetse jwang.
because in all that we have seen so far at the commission, we do not know where he was found.
Hobane ho ya ka sohle se re se boneng mane ho commission ha re tsebe re ba mothotse ho kae.
All we know is that he died on the 16th of August.
Se re se tsebang hore o tlhokafetse ka di 16 tsa August.
Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, thank you.
Thank you. Does the widow wish to add anything to what you said?
Men Tshenyeho ho na le ntho e batlang ho e tjho? Yes, she has Chair. She has prepared.
Yes, Mrs. Nsinyeho, what do you wish to say?
If I may, Chair, she has prepared.
Motlalepule Andres Nsinyeho. E ne e le molekane wa ka.
Motlalepule Andres Letsenyeho was my husband.
E ne e le ntate e le lebone le kgantshitseng lelapa la hae.
He was a man who was a light to his household.
Jwale kajeno le bone leo le timme.
Today that light has faded. She is emotional.
I understand that the recollection of your loss and the circumstances of your husband's death and caused you great emotional distress and pain.
Kutlo bohloko re la le wena ka lebaka la lefu la monna hao.
If you find it difficult to read out what you prepared, perhaps you can hand it to the evidence leaders, and we can have it translated and put in the record together with the other statements that have been made by family members.
Ho thwa mme ha ile hore bona o tla hloleha ho bala statement se sa hao o se qete ba kopa hore he o se re tla
Or the interpreter can read it out, perhaps.
I will. Ha ile hore a o khone nka se bala mme ke tjho hore o ntso o re o batla ke etse jwang kopa mpheso. It is written in Sotho. She says, Matabang Tshenyeho, Motlalepule Andres Tshenyeho was my husband. He was a man who was a light to his household. Now that light has faded. Only darkness is left. The peace that used to be within the family is no more. It has turned into shame, pain in our hearts. Woe unto the hand that killed Andres. I take Andres like a soldier who died for his oath, who died for his rights at work, a soldier who died in action. I have a question to Lonmin. When Lonmin employed or hired my husband, did they ask him if he is educated? 2, did Lonmin tell Andres that when he demanded a wage increase, they will call the police to kill him? 3, when Lonmin hired him, where were the police? 4, now that Lonmin says they are uneducated when they ask for an increase, will Lonmin be able to generate the millions that he used to generate whilst he was working underground, whilst they are sitting in their offices wearing suits and writing with pens? Will Lonmin be able to generate those millions that Andres used to generate and put in their pockets by toiling underground? When he asked for an increase, due to the circumstances in his family, they now claim he is faceless or unknown. When he has died, Lonmin now turns and says that they know him, they even know where he stayed. Does Lonmin know how painful it is, or what pain, what type of pain they've instilled in our hearts and in my children's hearts? To be informed of a corpse of a person that you loved, that you did not nurse, that you did not nurture to health, is very painful. On the morning of the 16th, I spoke to him at around 9 a.m. He said to me, I am coming back next week. When the phone rang at around 7, I knew that there was something wrong. When he did not answer, I could not sleep for 2 days, until the day when a message was sent by people from Lonmin on the Saturday. Oh, Lonmin, you have really inflicted a pain in my heart. To the police, I hate the way the police handled the situation. They are a civil servants who know the law. They were supposed to intervene in order to resolve the situation. But what they did is to go and display or demonstrate how they were trained to use firearms. Even them do have grievances about wages at work. Police do not treat civilians well. We see daily how police treat citizens. I know that it is not all police who do that, but one rotten potato spoils all. To the government, I am very ashamed. I am in pain, unbearable pain. I ask myself that how am I going to take care of my children? And how are my children going to cope about the pain that they are suffering? the government gave a decision without listening to the grievances of the workers. They labeled them hooligans, dangerous people. But I have a question. How dangerous were the workers for them to deserve to be killed so brutally? I ask this because wild animals are kept safe in an enclosure where there can be no harm to human beings. How dangerous were they when to deserve to be killed in that way? Is it because they are illiterate, uneducated? Oh, I am afraid of a suit and a pen. I loved Andres with all my heart. My heart is bleeding for him to be taken away from me when I still loved him. Thank you.
Thank you. Mrs. Nsiyo, I hope that your legal representatives will be able to make a copy available to you of the post-mortem report, which they have received, which gives you some of the details that you say you didn't receive initially. And when you receive the report of this commission, you will find as many details as we will be able to discover in relation to the matters that you raise, with respect to which you wish to receive information.
Postmortem ke lengolo le tswang ngakeng e ileng ya kgona ho re mohlahlube ka mora go tlhokafala le tla beng le o tlhalosetsa ka botlalo hore maqeba kapa leqeba le molaileng ke lefeng a re tshepa hore he seo se tla o khotsofatsa.
My colleagues and I extend to you and your family our sympathy and commiserations on the loss that you've suffered.
Modula stulo ha mmoho le ba mothusang ba re he uelle mme ba lalwe.
Chair, just to put it on the record that Seri and the attorneys have already provided the post-mortem reports to all the families of the deceased persons.
I see. No, because that was a problem that she raised, and I thought if it hadn't been dealt with, it should be, but I'm pleased to hear that it has been done.
It has been.
Baemedi ba re che di post-mortem di teng le tla fumantshwa tsona kaofela ha lona. Thank you, Chair.
To the place where she died, we were going to have an inspection on Monday, but it couldn't be completed for reasons I don't have to go into now.
Araka manta ha ba lekile hore he ho ilo etsuwa inspection in Lokomane tilong ya tirahalo empa he ka madimabe ha ba ka ba fetsa.
And it was hoped that those members of the families who were present would get an opportunity at that inspection to see where their loved ones died.
Ine ile hore ba ne ba bona itla ba monyetla wa di family tsohle hore ba bone hore he banna ba bona ba wile o kae ba wetse o kae.
As I've said, it was terminated for reasons I don't have to go into at this stage. But Mr. Shasterson, is there any statement you wish to make in regard to the possibility that the families will have an opportunity at some stage, not necessarily at an inspection, but in some other way, to see the places where their family members died?
Well, we can't at this stage commit to another inspection because we don't know whether one is going to take place, and if so, when. But what we can offer is, together with the legal representatives of the families, to identify the exact positions where each deceased person was found, so that whether it's at a formal inspection or at an informal inspection, family members can be taken to the exact position where their loved ones died.
Very pleased you said that. It's obviously something that's necessary to help the closure which everybody desires.
And specifically in relation to Mr. Nsenyeho, we can do that today if Mrs. Nsenyeho would want that to be done. We can do the identification today so that Mrs. Nsenyeho can, if needs be, make arrangements with her legal representatives to go to that spot.
Ho
Thank
tswa
you.
he mme ha ele hore wa dumela bo ntate Charles Carson ba re ka tseno ka etsa he hore he ba o thuse hore o bone mo ntate a wetseng teng empa he o dumellane le baemedi ba lona.
So,
She
thank-
says okay.
Thank you. Very well. That concludes the representations by the members of the family. We're now moving over to the stage of hearing evidence. Before we do that, I want to say that we were informed yesterday that the President has signed the letters patent of Mr. Dali Mpofu, who's now Mr. Dali Mpofu SC, and we wish to extend, on behalf of all of us here, our congratulations to him and our best wishes for his career as a member, as a senior counsel member of the legal profession and the bar.
Thank you very much, Chairperson. Much appreciated to all the colleagues as well and the people here. I must say that if that honor is deserved, it will be more so because of the experiences that I've gained here and some of the insights that I've gained here. Thank you very much, Chairperson.
Thank you. Anyway, congratulations, Mr. Pofu, once again. Right. I think let's take the tea break now, and then we will proceed to the evidence-taking part of today's proceedings. 15 minutes.
What about the cake, Mr. Mpofu?
On Monday.
The commission resumes. Mr. Zahn. Bam.
Thank you, Mr. Commissioner. The next witness is a Lonmin witness, Mr. Barnard Mokwena.
Would you stand, please? Are you prepared to take the oath, or do you wish to affirm?
I do.
You do what?
Take an oath.
You swear that the evidence you will give before this commission will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. Would you raise your right hand and I say, I swear so help me God?
I swear to God.
I swear so help me God.
Oh, I swear so help me God.
Okay, thank you. You may be seated.
Thank you.
Do we have any housekeeping, Mr. Bam?
Only this, Mr. Commissioner, the witness has before him a paginated bundle of documents which we have prepared. Included in that bundle are his two witness statements. I would ask of you, Mr. Commissioner, what we should do in labeling it as an exhibit, and we can then put page numbers.
What we did with Mr. Sidat, you remember, was he produced a bundle which we called quadruple S1. And then there were various documents in that. It was paginated. So shall we do the same with Mr. Mokwena? In the case of that bundle, in fact, there was 5 volumes worth. That bundle, there was a previous statement, or maybe even more, that Mr. Sidat made, and that was included just for the sake of completeness.
Yes.
So I take it you've done the same here. So shall we call the BAM, sorry, shall we call the, I'll get it right eventually, shall we call the Mokwena bundle the quadruple T1? Ms. Pillai's come back, so let's get her permission. Is that okay, Ms. Pillai? Can we call the Mokwena bundle quadruple T1?
Chair, we have exhibits marked quadruple T. So the Mokwena bundle would be quadruple W1.
TU or W? Is there a U? Is there a quadruple U as well?
There is a quadruple U as well.
I see. So this is where we spoke to you. So this will be quadruple W1. Thank you. I'm asked by Ms. Hemraj to ask you where the bundle is. It seems a not irrelevant question.
It's highly relevant. I had imagined incorrectly, so it would appear that the bundles were made available for the commission.
Oh, I see. That's the bundle we got earlier.
Yes.
I see. Okay, so that's been done. Right.
Am I exonerated from the chastisement?
No chastisement was intended. It was just an interrogatory, but that's been answered.
Thank you, Mr. Commissioner. Mr. Mokwena, you have in front of you a bundle of documents. On the top right-hand corner are numbers starting at 1 in bold print. May I ask you to turn to page 159 of that bundle, please? Do you have that, Mr. Mokwena?
Yes, I do.
Mr. Mokwena, that document says it's a witness statement by yourself. If you then turn to page 175, at the bottom of the page there's a signature, and on the next page there's a date 9 February 2003. Do you confirm, 2013, I'm sorry, do you confirm that to be your signature on the date so indicated?
Yes, Chair.
Before we come back to
Sorry,
that...
am I correct in thinking that that statement, which he's confirmed, is Exhibit 0015?
It may well be, but I thought it's got a page number in this existing bundle, and perhaps...
I understand. It's got a page on the existing bundle, but there's already a statement from him before us as 0015, so for the sake of good housekeeping, it's appropriate to identify it. And then the next statement we have is a supplementary statement, which is 105 to 196. That, according to your index, is not an exhibit. Let's check with Ms. Pillai. Is that right, Ms. Pillai? Ms. Pillai, there's a supplementary statement at page 185 to 196 of the bundle. by the witness, dated the 1st of September 2014. That's not, no exhibit number is given, and I suspect that it isn't an exhibit.
It's not an existing exhibit.
So, but it's now covered simply as part of quadruple W1 point, whatever the number is here, on the index, which is 20.
Chair, can I just clarify something? We were given bundles in chief in relation to phase 1 and in relation to phase 2 for Mr. Mokwena. So I think if we're marking the bundles as quadruple W1, it should be the phase 1 bundle in chief of Mr. Mokwena.
That is the bundle that I'm referring to, and that is the bundle which ends at page 427. Thank you.
427, you say?
427.
All right, thank you. So quadruple W1 is Mokwena bundle phase 1.
That's the one I'm going to be leaving.
And the supplementary statement, which I take it you're going to ask him to confirm, is a new exhibit, but it'll just be covered by its description in the bundle.
Exactly, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Mokwena, page 185 is a supplementary statement.
Sorry, Chair, we have a difficulty in that what we've been given ends at page 408 for quadruple W1.
I had the same difficulty, but I thought I was alone in it, so I didn't want to raise trouble about it. But that can be sorted out over the weekend, I take it.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
I think it can be sorted out. The missing pages will be provided to us.
Mr. Mokwena, if you turn to page 186, there's a signature on that page, and it's dated 1 September 2014. Do you confirm that to be your signature on the dates are indicated?
Yes.
196.
Yes.
Now, Mr. Mokwena, in relation to your first witness statement, starting at page 159, may I ask you to go to page 162? I understand that in paragraphs 3.1 and 3.2 you wish to make a correction. Would you tell the Commission what correction you wish to make?
Yes, Chair. In paragraph 3.1, I would like the word rumors to be removed. It was included erroneously. And the same word also in paragraph 3.2. Paragraph 3.1.
On the second line of paragraph 3.1, you wish to have the words of rumors removed or deleted.
That's page 162, isn't it? Yes. So it becomes, I should mention I was aware that there was a wage amount. So of rumors goes out.
That is correct. And similarly, Mr. Mokwena, I understand that at the end of the third line in paragraph 3.2 and the beginning of the fourth line, you would want the words a rumor deleted. Is that correct?
That is correct.
I've struck it out of my copy.
Thank you.
Struck them out of my copy.
Then before we start with the rest of your testimony, Mr. Mokwena, I understand that there are two passages, one at page 165, paragraph 4.5, and the other at page 186, paragraph 4, that you wish to clarify. This goes to the conference calls and the other discussions you had on the 10th of August 2012. Would you like to explain that clarification to the Commission?
Yes, Chair. On the morning of the 10th of August, I was working from the Melrose Arch office when I received telephone calls from Mr. Sinclair and A.B. Kotler informing me of a potential march by employees to our offices at LPD. At that time, I was with Mr. Albert Jemison. I asked them to obtain more information about the developments. And in the meantime, I arranged a teleconference in Mr. Albert Jemison's office and invited my team that was located in Marikana, A.B. Kotler, Joe Mokwadi, Mike Da Costa, for us to get together and discuss the events.
Portion you discuss your position at Lonmin. Since when have you been the Executive Vice President?
I moved into this portfolio in 2009.
You served on the Lonmin Exco, did you?
Yes, I did.
Did you serve on the Lonmin Board of Directors?
No.
Thank you. At page 160, under paragraph 2, you deal with the Lonmin Human Capital Division, and you make reference to 4 streams, one of which is the Human Capital Center of Excellence, and there are a number of items listed under there. Very briefly, could you give the Commission an indication of your responsibilities in human capital and the manner in which you were reported to and by whom?
I was the executive responsible for human capital at Lonmin PLC, and my responsibility covered development of a corporate strategy on human capital, policy development, procedures, planning, performance management. And under me, in that particular department, I had an executive manager. At the time was A.B. Kotle. Under A.B. Kotle, there were a number of disciplines, such as remuneration, recruitment, employee relations, and each one of these was headed by a senior manager. And in particular, employee relations was headed by Mr. Jomo Kwadi.
Sorry, for what happened in each of those streams and what... In respect of the 4 streams under human capital, who was responsible ultimately for reporting to and making presentations to Exco when something came up in Exco in respect of any one of those streams?
I was the ultimate person responsible to bring any input about human capital to our Exco and also to the Transformation Committee, which was a board committee.
May I then ask you if you could turn to page 353 of the bundle in front of you, please, Mr. Mokoena. That is the scenario planning document. Now, Mr. Mokoena, you've seen this document before, have you?
Yes.
Who was responsible for its preparation?
This document was an outcome of a workshop that I had arranged with a group of my managers, and I did that regularly to look at scenarios, trends, data analysis, and try to anticipate as much development in the area of human capital. And so I had a group of managers with me in a workshop. We put our thoughts together, and the document is an outcome of that workshop that then I presented to Exco.
When did you present it to Exco?
This was presented to Exco in June 2012.
What was the outcome of the presentation?
The outcome of this is a scenario document. It deals with scenarios, what's possible, what could develop, and all this. Exco would have had other scenario documents presented from strategy, from health, safety, and all this thing. So this was not an unusual scenario planning document for our Exco team. It was a common practice that we would do this type of work. So I took Exco through this document, and they also provided their input into it in as far as what they perceived to have been trends or issues developing, socioeconomic issues, political issues impacting the organization. So it was a brown paper exercise for Exco to reflect on some of the issues we would have identified in the document.
Thank you, Mr. Mokoena. Mr. Chairman, the next document I want to refer to is a document starting at page 409. You don't have it in the bundle, I understand, but it is an exhibit. That's the Lonmin Mining Security Procedures document. I'm not going to go through it in any detail, but you're familiar with the document already. Mr. Mokoena, this document at page 409, have you seen it previously?
I came across this document, Chair, for the very first time when I was doing my preparation for this commission.
And when was that?
Very recently, probably 3-4 months ago.
Thank you. Now, do you know whether this document was ever presented to Exco?
This document would never have been presented to Exco because, first of all, it is not signed. A typical policy at Lonmin would have been authorized or signed by 3 operational executives, including myself.
We have this document on the screen, just to make sure it's the document that I think it is, which Ms. Barnes cross-examined on at one stage, I think.
Yes. Mr. Sinclair was cross-examined.
Early in the proceedings.
Yes.
The witness hadn't heard about it. When did you do this preparation, hear about this document that had been before the commission some months ago?
Yeah, when I started meeting this...
When was that? 3 or 4 weeks ago?
Yeah.
Oh, I see. All right. Can we have the document on the screen, please?
Yes. I'm not sure what the exhibit number is.
Barnes will better tell us. What's the exhibit number, Ms. Barnes?
I'm not too sure. I think it's a XXX8, possibly. I think it's in the XXX series, but I can't tell you the precise number, I'm afraid.
That's XXX.
Although Mr. Mpofu SC's raised his hand, but Ms. Pillay, could you tell us before Mr. Mpofu SC does?
I think it might be XXX8. I just need to have a look at it.
Well, there's Mr.
Sorry, quadruple X8.
XXX8. Does the new SC agree with that?
Yes, Chairperson, if we are talking about the document with the what I call the Lonmin policy,
yes,
including
how you deal with unprotected strikes.
Yes, it's XXX8.
Thank you. Right, can we see that, please?
That is indeed the document, Mr.
This is a document. It's got an original document date on it, 9 May 2012. And if you go down a bit, you'll see it actually says who drafted it. And it was approved by the manager of mining security. Look there in the part that we see on the screen. It was compiled, I think, by Mr. Kellerman. And it's called Lonmin Mining Security Procedure, Counter-Industrial Action Response. And the initial date's 9 May 2012. It was approved by the manager of mining security. Who's the manager of mining security?
Chair, if you go to the last page where a policy would typically be authorized and signed, that's where...
Let me my question first, and then you can give the other information. We waste time if you answer your own questions and don't answer mine. My question is, who's the manager of mining security?
It was Graham Sinclair.
Thank you. And now let's go and have a look at the last page and see what it tells us or doesn't. See the last line, actually. Seeing you said look at the bottom. You see, it was last printed on the 10th of August. Remember, the original date was sometime in May. And then it says a signed-off copy of this document is held at E&DM/mining security-middle class security compound. So where do you get this idea this document's never been signed off? It was not only produced in May, but it was reprinted on the 10th of August, on the very day when the miners went to the LPD on the Friday. So
Mr. Chairman, can I just repeat my question? I didn't ask whether it was signed off at all or not. I asked him whether it had gone to EXCO and whether it was signed off by EXCO. And that's the question I was dealing with.
Chair, it did not go to EXCO.
It was approved by Mr. Sinclair and signed off and kept at the middle class security compound. Is that right?
That's what I was trying to explain to you,
all right,
Chair.
all right. Yes, all right. What would you like to explain?
That company policies would ultimately seek authorization from 3 operational executives for it to be a company policy. And the fact that it was not presented to EXCO and bears no signatures of the 3 operational executives confirms that it was never a fully authorized company policy.
What do you mean by fully authorized company policy? What stress do you place on the word fully?
Fully, Chair, means I, as head of HR, for example, would have critiqued the policy to make sure that there were no conflicts with other relevant policies. And once that is done, then the policy gets enforced and gets signed off.
Thank you, Mr. Mokwena. Mr. Mokwena, On page 162 of your witness statement, paragraph 3.1, you make reference to the demand by rock drill operators at Career Mine. That was the demand for 12,500 rand, was it?
Yes, that is correct.
Now, through that period, this is at the time it had first arisen going into the August period, do you know whether there was any similar demand communicated to Lonmin by any other category of workers other than RDOs?
No, Chair.
When you say no, do you mean you don't know, or there was no such demand communicated by other categories of workers?
There were no other demands that I was aware of or made aware of.
Thank you. Mr. Mokwena, may I ask you to turn back to pages 5 and 6 of the bundle, please? This is the bundle WWWW1. You'll recognize the document there.
Yes, I do.
Now, if you turn the page to page 6, you'll see there's the second of two tables which talks of remuneration post-October increases. Table 2, remuneration post-October 2 increases. Does that table deal with the situation prior to the implementation of the drilling allowance for RDLs?
Yes.
Having regard to that table and what is set out in paragraph 3, what would the position of the RDOs at Lonmin have been in comparison with those at Impala, at Anglo?
If we had implemented the 750 RDO allowance, Chair, Lonmin would have sat above Impala and just below Anglo. In other words, if you add the 750, where on the column that says 0 rand across RDO allowance, and add that to 9761, we would have arrived at 10,511, which would have placed our RDO wages just a little above Impala and below Anglo.
What is the difference between Impala A and Impala B in that table?
Chair, Impala had introduced a salary adjustment unilaterally, which is on page 1 and 2, without the consent of National Union of Mine Workers. So column A is a reflection of the unilateral implementation by Impala. Column 2 was our estimate if NUM had, or if Impala then had agreed to implement the normal wage agreement. In other words, Impala would have had to pay twice. They would have column 1, unilateral implementation, which is shown on page 1 and 2 of the documents. Column B, if they were to accede to what NUM was saying to them, that they should continue with the wage increase as agreed. So Impala would have had to have 2 adjustments. That's why we are reflecting them separately.
It actually happened. Did they concede to NUM's pressure, as you could put it in the memo?
I do not recall. I know there was a matter that...
Well, of course, if they had conceded, and if the relevant column was Impala B, then what would the difference have been between what was to be paid by, was going to be paid by Lonmin if they gave the 750 increase, compared with the Impala position if we look at column B?
Yeah, we would have a deficit of around 200 rand, less than Impala. We would be at 10,511. Impala B would have been 10,784. So a difference of about 200 rands or so.
Ms. Mokwena, in that same page you've got the Anglo column. Now, at the time when this analysis was done, did Anglo already give effect to its salary increases for 2012?
Yes. Impala and Anglo wage increases happen 2-3 months ahead of Lonmin. So we are always running 2-3 months behind in terms of adjustments, because our adjustments occur on the 1st of October. Impala and Anglo do their adjustments in June and July.
So the position you've spoken of now would have been without regard to the October adjustment?
Yes.
And that would have further taken Lonmin higher up in the scale?
You are correct.
Thank you. May I ask you to turn to page 164 of the bundle, back into your witness statement? In paragraph 4.2, you make reference to, you're dealing with the events of the 10th of August 2012, the morning of the 10th of August 2012, and in paragraph 4.2, you make reference to various calls you made, including to Mr. Melani and Mr. Matunjwa. 6.8 of your second statement, you make reference to what Mr. Matunjwa had advised you of. And you say he had advised you not to speak to the strikers during a telephone conversation that I had with him on 10 August 2012. Now, Mr. Mokwena, when you deal with the events of 10 August 2012, you make reference to your conference call when you were with Mr. Jamison speaking to people at LPD. Your telephone conversation with Mr. Matunjwa, was that prior to that conference call or after that?
My telephone calls to both Mr. Joseph Matunjwa and Mr. Franz Melani occurred before the teleconference.
Thank you. May I then ask you to go to page 9 of the bundle? That, Mr. Mokwena, is a letter dated 10 August 2012 on an AMCU letterhead addressed to you. If you turn the page, you'll see it is sent apparently by Mr. Matunjwa. Did you receive this letter from Mr. Matunjwa?
Yes, I received it.
When did you receive the letter from Mr. Matunjwa?
I received it during the course of the day.
And you'll see at the commencement of the letter on page 9, Mr. Matunjwa states, our telephonic conversation today, 10 August 2012, refers. Now, if you go through this letter, is it reflective of the telephone conversation that you had with Mr. Matunjwa and what he advised you?
Yes, I can confirm that the content of the letter is a reflection of the content of the conversation I had with Mr. Matunjwa earlier in that telephone call.
Now you'll see, he goes on to say, however, as AMCU we propose, and that there are 3 bullet points on that page and another one on the next page. The second of the bullet points, which starts, any employee who forms part of this gathering, we believe belongs to a union. Now, can you explain to the Commission what he was referring to the extent that that reflects his discussion with you?
Looking at the employees who had gone on the march, the majority of them were black and were mainly RDOs. The membership of such employees would have been either National Union of Mine Workers or AMCU. So my understanding of belonging to a union would be a reference to either National Union of Mine Workers or AMCU.
He then goes on in the next sentence to say, for non-unionized employees, there are management structures dealing with grievances. Now, do you know what he was referring to, and is this something that you speak about in your own witness statements?
I have in my witness statement, the supplementary statement, explained how line management and employees on day-to-day basis would engage on issues affecting them. It is a common practice at Lonmin, and we do encourage it, that issues raised by workers on daily basis should be resolved at line, except if such issues, Chair, are of substantive matter and would have corporate implication. As such, those issues would then be elevated to my level so that I can review them from a corporate perspective.
Is this what you deal with at page 189, paragraph 11 of your supplementary statement?
Sorry, what was that reference again?
Page 189, paragraph 11.
189. Yes, that is correct.
May I then ask you to go to page 186 of your statement? Paragraph 4. Before we deal, sorry, Mr. McQueen, before we deal with it, on the 10th, Lonmin had gone to court to seek an interdict against the strike. Were you involved in the decision for that interdict to be obtained? And if so, why did Lonmin decide to go down that path?
I was involved in the decision for us to apply for a court interdict. Chair, it is a practice known to us as an employer that when there is such an event, unprotected, so that we behave within the legal framework, we do apply to court for an interdict to stop the unprotected strike.
Thank you. Ms. McQueen, can I then ask you to go to page 186? And draw your attention to what you state in paragraph 4. Again, you're talking about the march on the 10th of August, where you say, thereafter I held a telephone call, a conference call with various managers who were at LPD, and you then state, we discussed the RDO demand and decided that we would not speak to the RDOs about their wage demand. If you turn to page 189, paragraph 9, you state, I also saw no point in reopening discussions with the RDOs. You're still dealing with the 10th of August here, Mr. McQueen. You say they had already communicated their wage grievance through the Costa, and more importantly, EXCO had already considered and thereafter addressed the matter. Now, there's been a lot of talk in this commission about your decision on the 10th not to engage with the striking mine workers. Would you care to explain the decision you took and why you had taken it?
Chair, my experience of the march on the 10th was not the beginning of communicating with workers on the demand. My experience started way back in June through Mr. Da Costa when we were made aware of such a demand. And as it is customary, we use line management to communicate to them and give clear, simple instructions about their demand and how it could not be entertained. And the reason for us not wanting to engage with them on the 10th was therefore not an immediate decision. It was based on a number of factors that we discussed during the teleconference. The first factor that we considered was, first of all, this was an unprotected strike. And it should be treated as such. Secondly, that the RDOs had already been communicated to through Mr. Da Costa between June and the period we're talking about, the 10th of August. In many ways, I personally presented different types of communique to the workforce to explain their rights, prerogatives, and also that what they were asking could not be entertained in the manner in which they were asking. Thirdly, EXCO had approved an RDO allowance if indeed the issue was that they wanted to earn as they appear at Impala and at Anglo. And I perhaps, Chair, need to emphasize that the most crucial thing that we as a team decided we could not engage on the 10th was that our engagement would be tantamount to breaking the very basic rules of a protected strike and unprotected strike. I believed at the time if we had engaged the workers on the 10th, we would have immediately blurred the two types of strike. And that would have far-reaching implications not only for Lonmin, but also for the industry and for the country. At the time, we believed it was a good reason for us to treat the march as an unprotected strike and treat it as such. The other reason is both unions, Mr. Joseph Matunjwa, Mr. Franz Baleni, had actually discouraged me to engage. And we have gone through that letter. And I was actually, Chair, happy that the three of us were in unison in upholding the principle around how you manage an unprotected strike. Those are the reasons that, Chair, we felt as a team we needed not to engage to avoid legitimizing an unprotected strike into making it a protected strike.
Mr. Mokoena, if you had spoken on the 10th, would the message to the striking mine workers have been any different from that communicated by Mr. Da Costa at the end of July 2012?
At no stage between the time when Mike Da Costa approached EXCO in June to the 10th of August was there any change at EXCO in terms of what could be different. During that period, we consistently kept the same communication to the RDOs. I personally believe it would not have changed because I would have communicated exactly the same message that had been communicated to the RDOs in June and in July.
And do you believe that by communicating that same message on the 10th of August, that would have resulted in the strike coming to an end?
I also doubt if such communication would have ended the strike, as it was very clear that the RDOs wanted 12,500 and nothing else. So a different message would not have changed that intention.
Thank you, Mr. Mokoena. May I ask you to turn to page 166 of your statements, please, of that bundle? In paragraph 5.1, you make reference to the deaths of 2 Lonmin security personnel and 2 other employees of Lonmin. And you go on to say that this was simply unbelievable, and I was angered when I was also told about the chaos at K3 shaft at Korea Mine. Would you explain to the Commission what your personal reaction was and how that impacted on how you viewed what was going on when you received the news you speak about at 5.1?
Chair, at that moment, I was distraught. I was very angry. And I didn't understand that after numerous attempts to explain to the RDOs in June, in July, that we were not in a position to pay them 12,500, that on the 10th, they chose to go on an unprotected action. And subsequent to that, I saw people dying and being killed. And all I understood was, if you don't give us, we will kill people. That's what I saw. That was my experience. We said it is not possible. RDOs go on an unprotected strike on Friday. What happens after? People are killed. And all, as a human being, understood to be what was going on is people will die if you don't give us 12,500. And Chair, may have been wrong. That was my experience that day.
Mr. Mokoena, at page 168, paragraph 5.10, you make reference to an incident which I understand had some personal impact on you, and that was the death of Mr. Twala. Could you take the Commission through how you became aware of the death, the impact on you, and what it communicated to you about a Lonmin management member going to the copy?
Before he does that, I think there's a mistake here which he may wish to clarify. The previous sentence, he says, later that afternoon...
Sorry, what page is that, Mr. Chairman?
The one you're referring to, page 168. 5.9, 5.10. In 5.9, he says, later that afternoon, I received a security update from our personnel that 2 SAPS officers have been killed and the 3rd badly injured. I was shocked by this information. Then he says 5.10, during the same afternoon, the LPD reception, he heard about the killing of Mr. Twala. Now, we know that happened on the Tuesday, whereas the events where the 2 SAPS officers were killed and the 3rd badly injured were on the Monday the 13th. So I suspect that 510 should read during the afternoon of the next day or something like that. Am I correct?
Yes.
So that's a correction that you obviously would wish to make.
Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. You heard my question in relation to that paragraph, Mr. Mokwena.
Chair, Ms. Constance works in my office to do admin and reception work. When I walked through into my office, I found her hysterical with my PA, and she had received a telephone call from the person who understood was with her cousin at the copy. And that person had called Miss Constance that her cousin had been murdered at the copy. Chair, when I hear why I didn't go to the copy, why I didn't send managers to the copy for me, because of this experience, so close to me, somebody that I knew, had become a place of death. And in my conscience, I had absolutely no doubt that I would not personally go there, nor send anybody else following this incident when Constance, who had to be treated by medics, his cousin, had been killed at the copy. That, Chair, was the reason for me not wanting to go to the copy or send anybody to the copy.
A resolution that you formed after you'd spoken to Ms. Mgobozi.
Yes, Chair. That was my experience.
Yes. That was on the Tuesday afternoon?
Yes.
What time?
Chair, I do not recall the exact time, but it was probably between 2 and 3, somewhere there.
Your attitude on the Monday, it was only your attitude you formed on the Tuesday afternoon, because your statement was incorrect in suggesting that this incident took place the same day you heard the news of the killing of the SAPS officers.
Yeah, Chair, as I said, probably there's a date missing here.
Yes, I know, but I'm just getting clarity on the point that this resolution you formed, which I can understand in the light of the explanation you gave, that resolution was formed on the Tuesday afternoon.
I formed this opinion upon receiving this news about...
On the Tuesday afternoon?
Yes.
About the copy. You hadn't formed the resolution before that?
No, Chair.
That didn't apply on the Monday or the Tuesday morning?
No, Chair.
No, I see.
On the Monday and the Tuesday, did you nonetheless have the same attitude for the reasons you've explained about talking to strikers on their demand?
Yes, Chair.
Finally, Mr. Mokwena, may I ask you to go to page 20 of your bundle? 20. Mr. Mokwena, you recognize the transcript?
Yes, I do.
I have no doubt there'll be a bit of time spent with you in cross-examination. I'm not going to go through it. I just want to ask you a couple of questions. Thank you very much.
Yes, thank you. Adjourn now, Monday morning, 9:30.